Okay, if you haven't watched Rob Sesternino's Know-It-All vids for this episode, you really should. They discuss so many good hypotheticals, what ifs, and did people make the correct decisions for this episode? There was so much even I couldn't cover it, but they take notes, whereas I just watch it, read Dalton Ross's stuff, and then listen to them while I'm reading Dalton Ross's stuff. So, yeah, you really should listen to that. But that was a nice episode, especially that battle back. Like, that was intense, and I called it! Although, Rob did get really darn close. It might not have been as close as the edit was making it seem, but he definitely got to, like, the 85% mark, so he got to that last curve, and then the push up. He definitely got that fall, and Yule almost got as far as, they did, and I was really surprised to see how narrow that snake was. That definitely looked way narrower than what they did on the Edge of Extinction season. That just feels so awkward because at least when Exile Island was introduced, that season had an alternate subtitle, Panama, so that helps a little bit, but just that just feels so awkward, right? And like I know that the American version of Survivor doesn't usually deal with numbers, but I'm thinking I might have to start referring to it as Survivor 38 just to differentiate it. At least with this season, we'll see if they bring the edge back, if that comes to be a problem, right? But what do you know? I was right. Tyson did end up carrying it. Although I do feel for Rob and Natalie because now they don't have any fire tokens, so they just wasted them on that idol. But then again, you only have two chances to get back in this game. There is the potential to find more tokens, but there's going to be more people on the edge, and I don't think we're going to get that many more of the everyone independently does something, and there's a token. It's whoever gets there first ends up getting the token. That's going to be a lot more prevalent now. And I do end up agreeing with like Dalton Ross, and I think either Rob or Steven was saying in their Know-It-Alls bit, I am definitely more of a fan of Redemption Island than this. I know that I complained about Redemption Island, but you more complained about the fact that everyone could see what was going on Redemption Island. The fact that it could be a mystery to them, I think, would have made that a lot more impactful. Although when I saw Survivor New Zealand and the first season of that had Redemption Island, actually, I think Redemption Island helped the season and the game dynamics, because I think people did alter their game based on what they saw, so it's possible, but the fact that it's not a secret, and it's the same thing with this. The people on the edge don't have to be a tribal, although, now that I think about it, if just about everyone can be in the game, then it doesn't really matter if they're at the tribal or not. Whatever. But of course, everyone knew that Edge would be around this time, and everyone knows that almost everyone will actually stay for the Edge. Okay, there we go. That explains it now. But still, for Redemption Island, you definitely don't need the jury there. You don't. Come on. Okay. So that's all the edge business. So Tyson gets back and he's like, yeah, I'm definitely in trouble here because I played 3 times before most of these people even did. And yeah, he played his first 2 times before any of the remaining players in the game proper played, and only 3 of the other 11 people had played before Blood vs. Water, so that's crazy. He's the old person in the house, even though I think Denise is older than him, right? And then we get this bit where Jeremy and then Sophie separately start doing their bits to gain some control in this game because Jeremy's trying to befriend the big guy, be the right hand man, and get rid of someone else that he perceives to be a good threat for him as, well, Sleeper, even though he didn't coin that term. Tony did, and that's kind of interesting because, if I recall correctly, in his past 2 seasons, it was usually an even playing field when he made alliances with people. Now it seems like he's being subservient. That's an interesting dynamic. Granted, though, since he's playing with all winners, it makes sense to change your game because Wendell, he said that he was changing his game, and if you look at his interview with Dalton Ross that he did for this round, he mentioned that yes, he is changing his bits, but his dynamics with Michelle, some of it was actually an act, because I do believe when he said in his confessional, let me play my game the way that I want to play it, I believe that was legitimate, but he was somewhat shocked when he saw the edit version of what happened there and how Michelle was bothered by his bit, so I think I was right to say that I don't want to be 100% anti-Wendell, but I don't know, man, because I do think there was some real dynamic feelings in there, and it's not like I can find more information out about this, because as of when I'm recording this season ended almost 6 months ago, so odds are Michelle and Wendell have tweeted so much, anything that they said is going to be hella buried, and of course they were tweeting a lot more during the season. So I've lost my chance to see that, and of course by the time this season is over, something else is going to have come up, even if Michelle does get sent to the edge. So that takes care of Wendell's negativity, and Jeremy trying to step into his bit, and then Ben gives the dynamic, I'll get to Sophie later, Ben gives the idea that us big threats need to stick together to get rid of the sleepers. Since when are you a big threat, dude? Yes, he was defined as the big threat in his season. But that was because of his position, not so much because of his gameplay. He was just more alert and found idols. We've seen people be more alert and find idols. Russell did that. People at David vs. Goliath did that. It's not that unusual. I really do not see how he's a big threat. Yes, this is a little bit of my bias coming in because Ben is the only person this season that I've been rooting against, and even then it's not his fault. But I just don't feel comfortable with that. It was the same bit where Kim, I thought, was being mislabeled, and Rob Sesternino is going, who would have thought that Kim, we'd barely heal from her? Dude, most people, from my perspective, and what little I was hearing from the Survivor community, totally were expecting Kim to not really stack up to this crowd. Don't you remember what Tom was like between Palau and HVV? He was trying to do a little bit of what he did in HVV, but it's the person that everyone trusts and was making most decisions and is suddenly towards the bottom of the deck. Alright, it's just that unlike Parv and HVV, they can't find a foothold, or have someone else help them destabilize the main group, Which is something that Sophie was trying to go for, and it's interesting how I think she had some of the same ideas as Tony, but I don't really know if they'll working together, because I think it's Jeremy who's bopping between everyone else. I think Tony and Sophie are on entirely different playing fields here, because it's Tony trying to do something with Jeremy, and Ben, and then it's Sophie trying to do something with Sarah and Denise, and then it's Denise trying to do something with Adam on one end, Sophie on another end, and then I think that she's got something else up her sleeve. And that's a little bit different from her, albeit, tribe dynamics are way different in this season than her previous season, because in her previous season, her tribe got whittled down to nothing in its hierarchy. Then she joins the fully intact tribe. Mako goes to a different fully intact tribe, both of which have a hierarchy of their own, which they get themselves into, but you know, she was able to wait it out, find a position, get comfortable there, and get rid of everyone. Sure, she shifted alliances, but that's what's supposed to happen in the merge. This time, alliances aren't the most stable thing anymore because Cambodia turned voting bloc, and we're definitely going to be seeing a bunch of that because I do not think that both Nick and Michelle are going to get booted. It's possible one of them might be going in the next two tribals. It actually would not surprise me at all if that were to happen, but I mean, like, it's not the biggest bet. I mean, like, 2 out of 11, theoretically 2 out of 10, 1 out of 5, I mean, because that reduces. The odds are relatively decent for that to happen. 1 out of 5? Yeah, the odds are insane. I mean, highly stacked against, but so few outcomes that when the 1 comes up, it's not that surprising. There we go. It's just really interesting to read into these people, and it's also nice to see Tony finally playing some game. Granted, he hasn't had that much chances to do that, because I think he only went to Tribal 3 times, right? Yeah, Amber, Tyson, Sandra, when he was a goofball for pretty much all 3 of those. Well, it's nice to see that you're coming into your own, Tony. Now, why can't you do some more of that? And then, Adam. Oh, less of a klutz, thank you. But, still not, feeling this guy. And he's the last, person that, I still have yet to see how he stacks against my preseason predictions. Because I was predicting Rob, Pav, and I didn't say her out loud, Sandra, get booted. They were booted. Tyson, he was booted, but he came back. But technically I was still right. Kim, I didn't think she would be able to stack up. Granted, that could change. I highly doubt it. At this point, Tony actually got much further than I thought he was, so I'm incorrect on him, so that just leaves Adam. We'll have to see how that goes, but then again with Adam, my prediction was just that he wouldn't win. And 95% chance of being proven right. Let's see. That's not to say that Adam has to be making decisions, but it seems like he's on the receiving end. That doesn't bode well for him. Now, theoretically, if he goes to the edge in this situation, along with some of the post-merge boots, makes some friends with that jury, gets back, finds a way in, that could help him. Although I'd hope that doesn't happen, because a lot of you would disagree with me on this, but my thinking is if you're a pre-merge boot, especially if you get a good ways into the pre-merge like Rick, Tyson, Aubrey, Rob, Pav, if you get a good ways into the pre-merge, get voted out, go to the edge, and then you come back, you've got to get through so many rounds. Odds are you have to get through 10 rounds, which is what Tyson has to do, because you've got 12 minus 9, but then you've got the extra comeback, so that's 10 rounds. That's pretty darn hard to do, although granted they could do the... Actually, wait, they're going to have to do the split into 2 different groups, won't they? Well, they did that last season, but I don't think they did that on the Edge in the season 38. See? On season 38, and that merge was greater, but you started off with less people, so Yeah, they are going to have to do the split into two different tribes, unless they sacrifice a reward challenge, but they're not going to do that. They barely have enough time for reward challenges anymore, especially with this season. So it's either you have a second immunity at Tribal Council right after the first boot, or they're going to have to do split the tribe into two different groups. So maybe it's not 10 rounds, maybe it's just 9. That's going to be interesting. Because are they up to date with the boots? Because, okay, let's think here. So it's day 21. There's 11 people left in the game, but then you had the comeback, and then you had 9 before the merge, so this is the 10th boot. So if I'm doing the math right, I think they actually made up a day, but they're going to, lose that day because if you read the menu clearly, it said the last day you can use the fire tokens is day 34, which means the final battle back is day 35, and then you have 654. So they're going to have to actually waste a couple days in there. Tough. I'm sure somebody out there can do the math. Obviously, I can't do it since I'm on camera right now, right? And then a fire token's still going to be useful. If you're on the edge, yes. If you're in the actual game at this point, only if you pool them, because everything's gotten more expensive. Tyson even mentions that anyone actually going to buy us a top, and everyone's like, nah, wait for the rich people to do that. AKA, it's not going to happen. Nah. Yeah, winners are not going to do that. Okay. Heading into Tribal, they had mentioned Adam potentially going, but that kind of came out of nowhere. Sure, Adam hadn't gotten that much camera time, but that actually kind of clued me in, because I'm like, this does not feel right for an Adam boot-off. This feels far more appropriate for a Nick or Wendell boot-off, and since more people talked about Wendell, odds are it's him, but I didn't figure that out until I was actually at Tribal. Michelle voting for Adam, well, that does give a little more substance to Wendell's argument that he and Wendell actually won in that bad of a position, but, I don't know. I'd have to get some more information from her, and somehow I don't think she's going to get that much exit interviews. It's been nice to see her get confessionals, but I'm starting to root against her winning this, especially since she gave away half her fire tokens. Because I know that she gave one to Wendell, and she might have given away another. Can't remember. Okay, so now it's time for me to do top picks. This is probably going to be the top pick bit that bucks the trend, since I disqualified my Kagayan top picks, because every time I've been so unsure, like I was in Kagayan, I just haven't done top picks. If you watch my past videos, I've said this over and over. Okay. Even though technically there's 19 people, again, I'm going to go with 3, and I'm going to try and keep it to just the people in the actual game. And then I might make one for the Edge group, though I doubt it. Okay. So, first pick. Robin Steven probably would argue against this because of her position down the line, but I'm going to say Sophie as my first, just because I see some good potential with her still, even though the U Alliance has officially been broken up with its figurehead ousted and another one of its members on the edge. Who... I know who I'm going to do for my third one. I just want a good second one first. These aren't in order, but I'm probably going to start doing something where I make one of these 3 always a more random person. So my second big one, torn between 2. Okay, I don't totally trust my gut on this, but I'm going to say Denise. I don't know. I think something's going to happen to her, but when it comes to these picks, it's not that someone has to win, it's that someone has to get to the end. And then my third pick, the random pick, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Tony. Why I'm saying Tony? I don't know. I don't know. But, there you go. So there's my random one. Because you gotta remember for Ghost Island I said Angela, so. Yeah. And who was the other person I was torn between when I said Denise? Jeremy, but. Like I felt with Wendell in Ghost Island, I think something's gonna happen to him. Oh, he could easily get further in this game. He really could, okay? But, I don't know, man. I just don't see it, and that stinks as somebody who, was a big fan of him and his alliance in San Juan del Sur and was rooting for him and Spencer from the beginning of Cambodia to win that season, especially if they teamed up. Thankfully they did, although it was kind of rough. But yeah. Oh, then, why not put Tyson up there? I don't know. He could get a good ways further into this, but I don't know. Eventually, he's going to be found as a physical threat and then probably be booted. But if he was to win this, would I complain? No, he has to get through 9 or 10 rounds, people. That's not easy, especially with this cast. If Tyson had won or if Rick had won, no complaints. Like, Tyson was on the edge how long? I think it's actually the same amount of time that Rick was there, so it's not that big a deal, especially if you have to get through the entire merge bit. And also, if you're a pre-merge boot to the edge and you get a good ways in, it's almost not really worth counting the days that you spent on the edge as like a totally different category, because I do think there are definitely times you want to classify edge days as someone else, because like Natalie, if she doesn't come back into the game, you count pretty much every day that she spent there as an edge day. Pav, you might count the days that she spent there between her boot and the start of the merge in her overall total, but every day that she spends there when the merge is going on, I don't really think that's justified, because all but one of those people are jury members. They're locked. They're not going to be doing anything, so it's like before the jury, you have something to the merge, you have something to prove, but once the merge actually happens, there's not much to prove because you're a jury member, you're just not at Ponderosa. So really, it's a case-by-case basis, I think, if you want to count people's days on Edge of Extinction as part of the overall total, or as separate. So Pav has either 130 days to her record with X amount of days spent on the edge, so that's going to be like 19, I think, or you can say that she has like 134 days, and then she spends 15 on the edge. It all depends, and I'm not even going to get into the whole debacle of do you want to round up or not, because even though they say 39 days, I think it's... Oh, but you see? Okay, enough math. I can't do this anymore.